Hey, Hosanna Kids Church and everyone else joining us. I got here today to the church to record part 3 of Joseph, but Tyler was already here and he's asleep. Check it out. I don't know if you see him over there. All right, so I've got an idea. Let's go see. Pharaoh. Here we go. I can't believe that worked. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a lot this time. Oh yeah, look at that. All right, here we go. Last time. Hey Tyler, how's it going? Hey, Hosanna Kids Church, I'm Trent.
And I'm Tyler. What's going on?
All right, Team Money. I know you were excited to be here today, but why were you sleeping here?
Well, I was sleeping here because I was excited to get on with today's story, and I wanted to have dreams just like Joseph.
Ah, okay, I see. Well, you can't have dreams like Joe because those were Joseph's dreams that were given to him by God. You, on the other hand, you can have all those crazy dreams about T-Rexes and Play-Doh and the city of Atlantis all you want.
Really? Yes.
Sure, why not?
Actually, I need a change of scenery because I've been dreaming about that for a while. How about me taking on an elephant with nothing but my bare hands?
Whoa, okay, it's time for you to take a dream tea there, big guy. You leave those gentle giants alone and dream about something a little bit safer.
What's a dream tea?
Oh, it's taking a little time out from those crazy dreams, and let's get it back into the story of Joseph and the action happening here. It's time for another trivia game.
Okay, all right. Thanks for snapping me out of that craziness. Where are we at in the story?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So, Joseph was just thrown into jail because Potiphar's wife lied and framed Joseph for something he didn't do.
That's right.
But this was all part of God's plan because God used Joe in a big way and put him in charge of every single inmate in jail because
God caused him to succeed in everything that he did.
Correct. Nice job. Way to go. All right. After some time, who was thrown into jail with Joe?
The Pharaoh's baker and cupbearer.
Oh, yeah.
There
Nice
they go.
job. He's going for it today. Batting 1,000. And then...
Hold on. Trent, I'm going to be quizzing you on the rest. I'm getting tired of being quizzed. Okay. So, what unique thing happened to the cupbearer and the baker on the same night?
Oh, easy. They had 2 very vivid dreams.
My man! And what were their dreams about? Were they about elephants and T-Rexes?
No, silly Willy. It was about the cupbearer dream that he had 3 branches and a cluster of grapes, and he was squeezing them into Pharaoh's cup for him to taste.
Woo! Very good. And what about the baker's dream?
Well, he dreamed about 3 baskets on his head, and there were these birds that were eating from them, and it wouldn't stop. It would never stop.
Excellent. And what did Joseph predict would happen to them based on their dreams?
Well, the cupbearer would be restored to his former position, and that the baker, well, he was going to be powered down.
It's a little hot in here because I think you on fire.
Ooh, yeah, I am. All day.
Yeah.
All right.
And last question. What did Joseph ask of the cupbearer to do when he got out of jail?
He asked him to remember him when he got out so that hopefully Joe could get out of jail too.
Bingo!
Coming.
Man, this really is your favorite story, isn't it?
Oh, you better believe it is. And now, as I promised, this story gets really, really good. Here we go. All right, to set the stage, Joe is still in jail, and some time had passed by, and Joe's wondering if he's ever gonna get out.
He's not the only one because I'm wondering the same thing.
Well, let's start things off right here and open up our Bibles to Genesis chapter 41.
Ooh.
Let's see what this thing has to say. 2 full years later, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing on the bank of the Nile River. In this dream, he saw 7 fat, healthy cows come up out of the river and began grazing in the marsh grass.
Gotta love that grass-fed beef.
Cool. Anyways, Pharaoh saw 7 more cows come up behind them from the Nile, but these were scrawny and thin.
Beef is not what's for dinner.
Well, these cows stood beside the fat cows on the riverbank. Then the scrawny, thin cows ate the 7 healthy, fat cows. At this point in the dream, Pharaoh woke up like, what?
Man, that sounds like more of a nightmare rather than a dream.
Yeah, it does, man. But guess what happened next, man?
What, man?
Well, I'll tell you, man. He had another dream, and it went like this. Pharaoh fell asleep and again had a second dream. This time, he saw 7 heads of grain, plump and beautiful, growing on a single stalk. And then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were shriveled and withered by the east wind. And these thin heads swallowed up the 7 plump, well-formed heads. Then Pharaoh woke up again and realized it was all a dream.
Oh, man.
Dude, are you all right?
Man, those 2 dreams sound like the worst dreams imaginable. I mean, dude, they just give me the willies just thinking about
I
them.
know, but you're not alone, because these dreams really impacted Pharaoh in a negative way. He was deeply bothered by them, and he called upon the wisest men of Egypt to see if they could interpret what his dreams meant.
So did these wise men get to the bottom of Pharaoh's dream so that he could get a good night's rest?
Well, unfortunately for Pharaoh, these guys didn't have God on their side, and they couldn't tell him what his dreams meant. Pharaoh was in a real flabbergaster.
What's a flabbergaster?
Everybody knows. It means you're between a rock and a hard place. You know, a real sticky situation here.
Neat.
Yeah, it is. Anyways, there was a lot of commotion going on in the palace because of Pharaoh's dreams, and it reached the ears of our good old friend. Well, I don't actually know what her name is, but the cupbearer from last week's story.
Oh, wait. I think her name's Carol the cupbearer. She's one cool cat. Wait. I think I know where this is going.
Okay, well, let's take a look. One day, Pharaoh was sitting on his throne, and Carol the cupbearer was once again by his side, just like Joseph said.
I bet she was crushing those grapes so well that Welch's grape juice would approve of the juice for Pharaoh himself.
You bet she was. As she was standing next to the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, one of the most feared and powerful rulers of the world, who could at any minute power you down.
He could also be called the Pharaohnator.
Yeah, I guess he could. And he could be a scary dude. But this Pharaoh was actually pretty cool and very desperate for help. Anyways, Carol the cupbearer got the courage to speak to Pharaoh. And she told him about her time in jail and that she too had a dream that bothered her. But
Well, are you gonna tell me?
yes, hesitantly, Carol told Pharaoh that there was a man named Joseph. Carol told Pharaoh that Joseph was a Hebrew man and that God was with him. So he had the ability to interpret hers and the baker's dreams, and everything came true. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph.
But I bet before he went to Pharaoh, he got a nice shower, maybe brushed his teeth, put on some, right guard deodorant, and got some fancy Egyptian clothes, right?
That is correct. Jojo probably stank to high heaven. So he cleaned up, and then our main man Joe was brought before the Pharaohnator.
So, before we go any further, we gotta state how important and potentially scary this situation Joseph's in.
Yeah, Joseph is being brought in front of the most powerful leader in the world. And if Pharaoh doesn't like what he hears, or he just is in a bad mood that day, Joseph is toast.
And to make it even more complicated, Pharaoh believes in many, many different gods, and he doesn't believe in the one true God that we believe in, which is potentially a massive problem as well.
It could be pretty scary, but Joseph continued to trust God even in those scary situations.
And in all situations.
Yeah, true. And Joseph was trusting God even in this situation of standing before Pharaoh. Joseph tells Pharaoh that God is really the one who interprets the dreams, so he gave God the glory from the start.
So, Pharaoh told Joseph about his dream where the skinny, bad-looking cows ate the fat cows, and the second dream where the healthy heads of grain were eaten by the withered heads of grain.
Then Joseph, with God's help, interprets the dreams for Pharaoh. Joseph says the 7 healthy cows in grain were 7 years, and the unhealthy cows in grain were also 7 more years.
Pharaoh is on the edge of his seat, waiting to hear more.
Joseph explains that 7 healthy cows and grain represent 7 years of great abundance of food in all the land of Egypt. This pleased the Pharaoh until Joseph said that the 7 unhealthy cows and grain represents a terrible 7-year famine that would be so bad that everyone would forget the 7 good years.
Joseph then counsels Pharaoh to put an intelligent man in charge of the entire land of Egypt so that they can start stockpiling food so they can be ready for the 7 years of famine so that Egypt would survive. Man, oh man.
Yeah, Joseph basically just told Pharaoh what to do, gave all the glory to God, and then gave Pharaoh some really good news, followed by some really, really bad news. But Tyler, do you want to know how the Pharaoh responded to this news?
You better believe I do, Trent.
Like, do you really, really want to know?
Okay, you've been testing me, and you've been testing them for about 2 weeks now. And I and them want to see what happens with Joe, so you better tell us.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to come back next week. No, I'm just kidding. Take it easy there. Just take it easy. Actually, let's look at Genesis 41, verse 39 and 40. Since God has revealed the meaning of the dreams to you, clearly no one else is as intelligent or wise as you are. You will be in charge of my court, and all my people will take orders from you. Only I, sitting on my throne, will have a rank higher than yours.
I don't know what to do with my hands right now because that's so crazy. Dude, yes. Not only does Joseph get out of jail, but he is in charge of the entire land of Egypt. Holy moly cannoli. What's going on right now?
All right, so Joseph was the number 2 man in all of Egypt because he was faithful to God and didn't let his fear of Pharaoh get in the way of what God wanted him to do. Joseph was under a ton of pressure telling Pharaoh what to do, and he knew that the consequences could be pretty bad, but he followed God anyways and was greatly rewarded.
That's right, everybody. Remember that when you're facing a big decision and the pressure's on, you can trust that God is always with you.
That's right. So Tyler, wasn't that an incredible story?
Sure was, Trent. I would have never have guessed how this was all going to play out. I mean, he was in a hole, but because his brothers put him in there, sold as a slave, lied about, and put in jail, and now he's the number 2.
Yeah, man. When Joseph seemed like he was down for the count and in so many different circumstances, he kept putting his trust in God. And now look at him. He's the main cheese, only second to Pharaoh. But guess what?
What?
The story still isn't over yet.
No way. Do not even think about putting another to be continued up on the screen.
Here it comes. Oh, I did it again. Man, you knew it was coming. So there is still one last piece to this puzzle with Joseph, and that involves the dreams about his brothers bowing down to him. Remember that?
I do remember that. Well, here we go. I am excited to see how this plays out. And you know what? I'm not going to be biting my nails till next week because you know what? I know that our main man Joe is sitting pretty good right now.
Yes, he sure is. And that's how today's story ends.
And now it continues for you.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. You can share this video with your friends, your family, or anybody that needs to hear the love of God. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on your notifications so that you stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Thanks, have a great day, and we can't wait to see you next week.